Is this the beginning of the end for the fourth largest economy in the world? Is Germany dangerously perched on the precipice of taking a major economic nosedive? Media pundits have already started to sound the death knell for the German economy, which also happens to be the largest in Europe. Join us as we make a detailed roundup of what went so horribly wrong for the German economic system. The statistics look grim. Figures present a bleak picture that between the months of January and March, the German economy shrunk by 0.3%. But wait, there's more. The economy shriveled up by 0.5% as statistics from the final 3 months of the year 2022 showcase. The Germans seem to be hanging off the deep end of a cliff. So what could have brought this financial calamity on to make Germany enter a technical recession? One word: inflation. The back-breaking plight of the German consumer, held captive by a colossal cycle of inflation, has sparked a chain reaction that has sent the economy crumbling like a stack of dominoes. The crisis plaguing the dwindling German economy has also intensified in the aftermath of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, when Russian gas supplies to the region underwent a sharp decline. An upsurge in energy prices almost always spells bad news for businesses and leads to a drop in industrial orders. Germany's industrial sector has suffered the same fate. There is an upside, however. The side effects of the scarce supply from the Russian borders did not quite have the debilitating influence as was earlier anticipated. The fact the cold wintry season did not unleash its full fury and remained mostly moderate certainly played out in the European nation's favor. A brutally cold season would have translated into an acute gas scarcity, a scenario that fortunately did not materialize. Another factor that proved to be a saving grace for the teetering economy was the re-entry of the Chinese economy in the picture that somewhat helped to take the sting out of the dire energy situation accompanied by higher prices. And yet, these occurrences were simply not enough to bail Germany out of the danger zone. In fact, the economics minister Robert Habeck attributes Germany's acute dependence on Russian energy and its cessation as the chief cause behind the dire economic situation. According to Carsten Brzezinski, the ING economist, the German economy reached its deteriorated state in winter, although it was something that they had feared since summer. So, when is a country deemed to be in economic chaos, aka recession? Well, it's pretty easy math. A country is knee-deep in a financial and economic mess when its economy shows a steady trend of contraction for 2 back-to-back quarters. The status, the Federal Statistics Agency's President Ruth Brand has articulated that the conclusion of the year 2022 saw GDP growth enter negative territory and that the German economy has documented 2 successive negative quarters. That is alarming indeed. It is then safe to state with some conviction that the grim gates of recession have then finally opened, as can be seen in Germany's case. Let's talk about the German inflation rate. Figures for April show an inflation rate that had reached 7.2%. A small silver lining is that the upward price trend seems to be ceasing, as per a DW report. Prices of household commodities are on fire, with costs of food, clothing, and other necessary goods like furniture making a significant dent in household spending. As per a statement by the Federal Statistics Agency, Status, the continuous escalation of high prices has proven to be burdensome for the Deutsche economy at the beginning of 2023. There had been speculations hinting that Germany might be able to stave off a recession. Contrarily, household spending dropped by 1.2%. And it's not too difficult to figure out why demand has dropped, as citizens struggle with diminished purchasing power due to the staggering inflation. Government expenditure was also trimmed by 4.9%. Car sales also plummeted after the government pulled back some of its support behind grants for electric and hybrid cars. Government subsidies were taken off the economic cards entirely, resulting in fewer purchases of vehicles by people. Reports published earlier in May 2023 don't paint a very promising picture, giving leverage to the threat of a looming recession, with the automotive sector lagging behind considerably that led to a drop in industrial production. The country's manufacturing sector is grappling against the odds. China is Germany's numero uno reliable trading partner. In an alarming development, Germany's car export to China experienced a sharp decline of 24% in the first quarter. May brought a reality check to a gauge of the business climate, which was presented by the IFO index, which depicted more than the expected decline, tipping the scales against the German economy. The IFO index is Germany's top-most leading monthly indicator. This marks the first decrease after a series of 6 consecutive increases. Only the services sector showed a positive trend. The dire scenario can be measured by the fact that the IFO expert expectations dramatically dropped to an all-time low since November 2022, spurred on by the unanimous decision by automotive companies to scale back export plans. As per the reports, the GDP remained stationary during the first quarter, which is not a good sign. At least the mild winter brought some glimmer of hope. The construction sector showed an upsurge due to the suitable weather, which in turn helped bolster investment, which showed an increase in the first quarter of 2023 after a slump in the latter half of 2022. So, what's the prognosis for the ailing German economic and financial machinery? Currently, it looks like a mixed bag of sorts with a host of varying perspectives. Bundesbank, the German central bank, has forecast some growth to be likely between the months of April to June quarter. The discouraging trend witnessed in consumer spending might see a bounce back following a pickup in the industry. Unfortunately, the IMF does not share the cheery prognosis, citing that the German economy will face a shrinkage factor of 0.1% in the current year, placing it in the unenviable spot as the weakest economy among the most advanced ones. And now, it's time to take a look at the big picture. How will Germany's economic fallout play out on a larger scale, and what will it portend for the Eurozone? Well, let's find out. The economic crisis playing out in the most robust economy on European soil spells deep trouble for the entire Eurozone. As the region shares a common currency, the foremost factor that will make it to the economic forefront is the dwindling of the first quarter GDP for the Eurozone. The downward revision of the GDP is estimated to plummet to 0.0% from its previous 0.1%. This means that a hairline margin is what is keeping the Eurozone from entering the no-go area of a technical recession. The rest of Europe, or Eurozone to be more exact, is not doing too well either, with the manufacturing sector which is teeter-tottering as new orders have slimmed down. Massive inflation and increasing interest rates are leading to a cost-of-living crisis of sorts, as the economic noose tightens around families paring back consumption. The area of business investments is not looking too promising either. All in all, it's not a very pretty picture. The situation might further deteriorate as in a move to curb prices, the European Central Bank is persisting in raising the interest rates. However, it's not all gloom and doom, as positive news is also emerging from some optimistic quarters. Germany might bounce from its recession sooner rather than later. As per a CNN report, a survey data showcased some positive results as the month of May showed an expansion in business activity in Germany, even though manufacturing still remains on a slippery slope. The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz remains upbeat in his assessment of the economic outlook, terming it to be very good. The Chancellor remains confident in the strategic measures undertaken by his government to boost the production of renewable energy and to motivate foreign workers to come to Germany. The German Chancellor elaborated on the investment prospects that Germany still holds the keys to due to battery and ship factories. CDU, the country's main opposition party, is not so sure. They do not seem to share any of the German Chancellor's enthusiasm. Its leader, Friedrich Merz, while addressing the Agence France-Presse News, sounded the alarm and termed Germany's economic woes a wake-up call for Chancellor Olaf. The opposition leader also asserted that the current economic climate might actually deter firms from finding a suitable locale due to an unpredictable future outcome. KfW, the state-owned investment and development bank, speculates that the German GDP will decrease by an overall 0.3% this year. Where do you think the German economy will end up at the end of the year 2023? Let us know in the comments. And if you like our content, hit the subscribe button immediately, and we'll see you next time.